I'm CraigO, and join me on my adventures with CraigO's cryptocurrency as we cover the blockchain, Web3, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. Interviewing the best in the industry, giving tips and tricks, and also sharing with you projects that I'm most excited about.
You're tuning into CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technology. Great reviews, incredible interviews with the leading people in the Web3 ethos and just the general things Web3. This podcast, this episode today is insights, ideas, and concepts for growth. I am your host, CraigO, joined by my amazing co-host, that handsome guy on the other side of the screen, Mr. Meta Matt. What's up, my friend?
How we doing? How we doing? Happy to be here. Excited to talk about all things Web3.
We got a lot of content, and it was so funny. I sent you out the preview sheet a couple days ago, and then last night I got stuck. I just was working from like 12 to 2 o'clock. Hopefully my wife's not listening in on this, and I just kept creating more content. So we're gonna nail this out in the next hour, and then at 12:30 we're gonna go live with Easy Eats Bodega. He is an incredible guy, super consistent in the space. Are you ready to do this, Matt?
Oh, I'm excited for Easy Eats. You're actually the one who introduced me to him, so I'm excited to actually see what he's all about.
Yeah, I'm a networker first, in the Web2 world. I am a connector, want to make sure that people are building valuable relationships. So here you are this year. What a gift for our group, for our podcast, for our team. All right, so we're going to cover the technical analysis, the fundamental analysis. But what I want to do is I want to go into a quick screen share, Tony. So we're going to actually pop in there, and let me get to our first. There we go. But, Matt, what I want to say is that our podcast this year, alongside of conversation with the leading people in the Web3 ethos, is also going to be to help them think about how they're going to strategize. And it's not financial advice. Is that right, Matt?
Oh, no, definitely not financial advice. That's not what we do.
No. So what I want to do is I wanted to go to a thread that I created, and this was actually inspired. We'll talk about him probably again in this podcast because I do have him on the show notes. But NFT God really has inspired the thread in so many people. And sometimes, people copy. I want to say copy stylistically. He's inspired that. A writing ability. He talks about the sandwich method, which I learned in college, but how he really breaks it down in such a level of practicality. So I did a thread on this, and I highly recommend that you guys go check out my threads. I love constructive feedback too. Hey, Craig, you suck. I don't like it. Okay. But this one was particularly about reach, attention, engagement equals social currency in this thread. I do go on to share my thoughts. Credibility is the top of my list when I think about the word social currency. Matt, what does that mean to you, my friend?
Social currency. I mean, that's interesting, because when it comes to, you were mentioning on the thread, attention. And, I just watched, everyone says something different. I watched one TikToker, big influencer, a whole bunch of followers, one of the social media gurus. He's saying how you need those quick don't keep a video or don't keep a image on the screen for more than 2 seconds. You need hard hitting. People don't have attention span. But then I scroll the next videos, Mr. Beast's manager, and he's saying the opposite. He's saying the people who can actually generally connect their audiences without the, what he called the crackhead edits, are actually the ones who are going to really grow a community. So I thought that for you, when you said attention, I'm just curious as far as what you think about that. What is I know everyone has their own way. What do you think as far as, I know you do the podcast, you have the TikToks. Which one do you like better as far as growing the audience?
Growing the audience, it's Twitter as far as a social platform.
Well, as far as long form versus the short form crackhead edit type deal.
I don't like the crackhead edit things. I think when you're going to talk about projects, communities, businesses, people in this space, you've got to do it justice. You've got to do your due diligence, and people don't want those small little sizzles, right? There's a lot of sizzle being sold without the steak. I want to talk about the steak at the end. You can build all the sizzle you want, but that to me is probably the most important thing to build credibility in this space. And so this platform represents that for everybody and everything that we interact with.
Well, you said it right there, credibility. I thought it was interesting, credibility versus reach or attention, engagement. Some people think that views and getting the comments and getting, retweeted by the right guy, that's that's credibility. But I think for me, credibility is more so having people show up every day, the same people, having that community and building that community each and every day and seeing that growth. That to me is a credibility as opposed to the views. I wonder what your take on that is.
No, I'm on the same page as you. I think consistency is key, showing up, tending to your community, and thinking long-term about products and services. And I think that's really important. How are they going to integrate with Web3, or how is Web3 going to interconnect with Web2-based businesses, traditional? And I do want to hop over to the next piece of content because we're going to keep this moving, man. This is a freight train right now. So if you could do, Tony, quick screen share. one of the things that we talk about with content writing, 10 content creation lessons learned in 2022 by none other than NFT God, hashtag LFGrow. Big shout out to him. But 1, 3, 5, 8, and 10 are the points that to me resonated the most. So I'm just going to go with point 1. We're not going to go through them all. I want people to go back, subscribe to his newsletter. He does have, I believe, a paid feature. I did go in there, and I think it's $5 a month, or if you pay for the year, you actually can save money. And people are like, why are you promoting it? Why would I not? This is where I do my learning. This is where people will learn, grow, right? Strategize, implement, and build. But one, stick to your brand. Every tweet that NFT God put out in 2022 underperformed, had one thing in common. They were off brand. I'm going to leave it there. I'll let everybody else read the rest at another time, but go subscribe to his newsletter. Absolutely phenomenal. What are your thoughts around that as far as sticking to your brand? Is there a time where you'll readjust, Matt?
Well, honestly, I've been all over the place. Like, I've been doing content creation for the past, like, I think around 3 years full time. And my brand, as far as like me as an influencer goes, changed a lot from, the stock trader influencer to crypto, then NFTs. And then it's like, oh, let me teach people about how to make content. So I've been all over the place, and I found it hard to actually grow a consistent following because of that. So I think that now I'm going right back to the basics, which is for me, PB alerts, Penny Boys, and just generally helping people, which is what Penny Boys is all about. Yeah,
and we're going to definitely talk about Penny Boys and dive into that. I also would say that with brand, right, focus of crypto, NFTs is really what we focus on. NFT communities. We have a lot of conversations with builders in the space, but I think that's really, really important to stick to brand. All right, no tuition is needed when you have a combination of two specific things: common sense and developed emotional intelligence. And I want to work my way back because it talks to a little bit about investment strategy. And maybe it's where we can interject Penny Boys a little bit, but developed emotional intelligence. You invest in a stock and or a company, whatever it is, right? And so Penny Boys, they put out some really great information. And I want you to tell us a little bit about that. But you guys, you tell the people how to cost average in, timing, what you look for in charts. How important, just at the surface, and then you can dive in, is developed emotional intelligence when it comes to the management of money? And why do we get so damn emotional?
Honestly, that's the one thing that we really focus on in PB alerts is the trading psychology. A lot of other programs I've seen out there, they're like, they hit you with charting, learn about fundamentals, learn about this, learn how to do the RSI and do this like 3 strategies. But you're right. It's really what's up here which makes a trader. I think it's 80%. Some people say 90% trading psychology is what makes a trader, but they don't spend like 80%, 90% of their time actually educating themselves.
Right. And what we're going to do is shortly, we're going to do a screen share on Penny Boys to talk about that. Not right this second. But one of the things that I do want to go to, and I'm going to drive Tony nuts with all the screen shares that we have going on today, is Tony, I'm going to have you go in just a second. If you can actually do the screen share, I thought this was a really important thing. This came from tout.eth. I don't believe we follow each other. He doesn't follow me. It's not the point of it, but I just love this. Just like you dollar cost average your way in, you can dollar cost average your way out. Don't be afraid to take profits. You don't have to catch the Pico top. And by the way, if you talk about statistics, you will not catch the very top. It's not possible. We're good. We can come off that screen share real quick, my friend. So that's probably the bigger point, and I thought that was great. I do want to talk a little bit about one of my very favorite communities. And when I say, do I think it's a good buy? Yes, it's a good buy, but it's not financial advice. And we will talk about X first and shortly. But this particular community I was in last year, I didn't get in on the free mint, but On-Chain Monkeys is a very powerful community. Last week we had on Bark, NFT Bark, phenomenal Twitter space guy. But not only that, he just brought a lot of really good information. But I do want to do, Tony, he's going to be working the screen share button like there's no tomorrow. So I do want to talk a little bit about their OCM DAO. Tony, if you can go into that screen share, thank you so much. So when you talk about Web3 related businesses, not just a digital asset or a token you hold or what most people called it the NFT, On-Chain Monkeys is doing it right. And I would highly recommend that people go to onchainmonkey.com/DAO just to look at what they're doing specific, but the proposal of ideas, a community vote, and then receiving of grants, and then how much projects that were funded were 42, 136 submissions, 70 ETH that was funded. It's just absolutely phenomenal what they are doing. They talk about the small grants, the prop house, OCM proposals coming soon. So these are the level of grants. OCM proposals is 10 plus ETH. So it's really phenomenal to see that they've said we do good in the world and we do well for our holders. Maybe it's the well and good in reverse. But I just love what they're doing in the space. They're consistent. They show up. They have lots of spaces, and they have lots of really, really smart people. Tony, being smart as I am, I need to come off of that screen share. There we go. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. What are your thoughts on decentralized autonomous organizations? Big shout out to On-Chain Monkey and their DAO. What do you think about DAOs? How important is it to Web3?
Honestly, I think it's a I mean, for the degens and all them, everyone loves the DAOs. But I think that from the mass adoption standpoint, people still aren't quite there yet. I think the DAOs are just still kind of a lost concept on a lot of people. Oh, there goes my cam. We'll come right back. There it is. But yeah, still, it's like a lost concept on a lot of people, I think, right now in the mainstream media. I think that what these guys are doing, you can see on the website, it looks very Web2-ish. You see all the pictures. It's very, very transparent. So I like the way that they're doing it, though.
Right. No, me as well. And that's probably one of the things where I just had to, how to share that because of what they mean in this space. To me is consistency and long-term building. And in what Matt wrote a comment, trading is more about learning ourselves, learning about ourselves the most than most people realize. I think that's what it said at a distance. But I agree with him, right? We're having to learn our emotional state. It's very easy to get emotional when it comes to that. And I do want Tony do a quick screen share really quick, and then we'll just come off of that. But the count, I'd like people to go in and matter of fact, I see on my personal account, I'm not following him now. I am. He is the DAO proposal coordinator. So they had been looking for somebody for a little while. They take their time to make sure that they're hiring the right person. Thank you, Tony. And to me, I think that's extremely important. Talk about another community that I'm really excited about this year, and we'll probably be grabbing some more tokens, is the ENS community. We're going to do a quick screen share, Tony. I am ready, my friend. So why do I like them? The thing that I really enjoy about doing some of the tweet threads, Matt, is I actually get to then go back and reflect and think about what it is that's most important. But these are the reasons I am so bullish on the ENS Maxi community. And also we'll talk about ENS domains. I'm going to get your opinion on that. It was a free mint, 0 royalties, alpha learning in the space, high-level strategy in spaces, and they're actually playing around with the metadata. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that today. Metadata is very important. I keep hearing it more and more. High-level strategy in the spaces, as I said, the community is cohesive. Diversify your portfolio. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's not anything you're doing as your cost averaging and you took your licks and wounds of 2022, you need to be diversifying, and you need to be doing it inexpensively, right? Because this is not financial advice. Do consult with your financial advisor. Diversify your portfolio. Currently affordable. First, Ethereum PFP. So let me just say that again real quick. ENS Maxis was a free mint, 0 royalties, alpha learning in the space, high-level strategy in spaces. The community is cohesive. Diversify your portfolio. Currently affordable, and it is the first Ethereum PFP. What are your thoughts on this particular community? And Tony, you can come off a screen share, my friend.
So honestly, I am not huge into this community. I actually heard of them through you. I like obviously free mints are always a good concept because it means that they're not, money hungry. Then, their goal is to build a community and then actually have something happen from that, as opposed to just take money and, hey, we're going to hopefully make that work. But I love that. I love the diversifying your portfolio. How does that work exactly as far as they go, diversifying the portfolio?
So, I mean, with them, they just, like unique rarity and traits in every collection. But what I'm looking at is, my wife asked me the other day, she's like, Craig, have you lost money? Have you lost money? I'm like, no, because I haven't sold what's down. And it actually cost averaging. And then I did the tax loss harvesting, which was, I think, a really good idea. But their community, when you go into their spaces, they'll tell you, right? The ethos of the degens will tell you right now which things are really popular. And then you've got to think, as more people from Web 2 are more able and easy, it's easy to come on, they're going to start to purchase these things. They're going to be in Web 3 without knowing they're in Web 3. So when I think about it, I listen to what traits are most interesting. I mean, I believe I was DMing with the founder. I believe it was the founder or one of the head guys over at On-Chain Monkey. I was saying, hey, I want to get some more karmas. I'm thinking about picking up some more. What are the traits, unique rarity, and traits that people are talking about within the collection? And he's like, you could go into Spaces, but he's like, here's a couple things you need to know. And so that's another way to figure out when you believe in a collection. You can do floor sweep as the bottom value of the collections for those that don't know. And by the way, this takes time. If there's anybody that's new that ever tunes in and people say, I don't get it, it's because you haven't spent the time on it to try to understand so you can actually then articulate it to somebody else. If you can't understand the concepts, you're gone. But I reached the guy at On-Chain Monkey. He gave me some really good information. So with that, I can then go into the Discord channel. I can then go into a Spaces and say, hey guys, what of this? Is it the surfboard? Is it the coffee trait? What is it that has you interested in this collection? So I think that's really important from a strategy play, is that if you're in a NFT community and you have floor stuff and you want to get something rare, ask the top people in the spaces who consistently show up and are speaking on stage what their opinion is, because their opinion matters the most. Thoughts around that from a strategy standpoint? That's out, right?
No, that's interesting though, because a lot of people, especially a lot of traders, or even I guess more so does the new people to the NFT space, they don't even think about the trades. Like I'm not gonna lie, like when I'm looking at, I don't trade NFTs I don't buy NFTs to trade them myself necessarily anymore. I have stocks and crypto for that. But for me, it's more so just supporting people and just for fun. But people who are trading it actively, it's interesting how the traits work, because you can go on the rarity and like you said, all this stuff, all these terms and all this stuff is very confusing. But once you get the hang of it, you go on YouTube, you can find a whole bunch of educational courses. I know I have a whole NFT 101 series, and I know Craig also has a lot of education on his channel as well. That's when it really starts to click, and you start to realize like, oh, this isn't actually really all out there. It's like there's all concepts in Web2 that are actually coming into Web3, like video games, music. It's just like you said, once everyone can actually live in the Web3 space without realizing it, that's when there's gonna be mass adoption.
And a lot of people hear you speaking about that, and they're like, wait a minute, Matt doesn't have the NFTs that Craig has? Like, I got about 300 of those bad boys in some form or another, multiples of smart contracts. But I think the most valuable thing is, and not only did we get along and form a fast friendship, but you're in Facebook, you're in Discord, you guys are very active. Penny Boys is very active. And I think that's incredibly important. So to bring an analytical mind on the podcast who has a good social, EQ, emotional intelligence, to bring those two diverge together is deadly. That's why you're here, my friend. Tony, I do want to do a quick screen share and show the personalized hoodies. So I started to dive into ENS Maxi's product site, just diving in, trying to understand their suite of product or service offerings. Not that they're service yet, but I thought this was really cool. And by the way, we are going to be having on Flexter.eth. He's going to be coming on, I believe, on the 25th of this month. Really excited. It's going to be at 12:30. And every week we do Twitter Spaces, which is incredibly important to build in the space, bring people to YouTube, bring people to Facebook, because we're Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter Spaces live on every podcast. But I love the ideas of personalizing your hoodies. And I'm going to actually go in and purchase my hoodie. I hope the quality is good. See, here's the thing that I realize, and this is a question that we need to be asking the community leaders. If you have a product you're putting out there, merchandise, and you want people to rock it on their podcast, that's if I like your product. I mean, let's be honest, I'm growing. I got 5 people in YouTube. Yeah, I'm winning. But the bigger point is, if I'm going to have a product and I'm going to represent it, and it's going to be my PFP, and I'm spending my hard-earned money, I want the quality of the fabric to really match that. I want the coffee mug to be best in class, especially if people are buying it. If you're not giving away free stuff and you're charging for it, come with the quality. Don't be a cheapskate. There is nothing worse. What are your thoughts around that, right? Because we're integrating a little bit of an actual product with a digital asset community, which you can order in Web2. I'm hoping at some point, again, maybe these are some of these things. Can you pay in crypto? Flexter might know this, but what are your thoughts around that?
No, I mean, quality definitely does matter. I also think branding, like you were saying, even giving away stuff for free too. Different people who have, who just wear it, rock it on YouTube, this, that, whatever. I know Lance is in the Twitter Spaces. He's from lawcity.com. He gave away 10 Law City t-shirts the other day on a Twitter Spaces. I seen he's like a box of them. He's always giving them out because he knows that's how you get your brand out there. It's all about brand recognition, especially when you're starting off. You know, and a lot of these NFTs are just starting off. Even like the Gods and Bored Ape Yacht Club, it hasn't even been 2-3 years. They haven't even like reached like the the tipping point when it comes to like, oh, is this business, you know, is this small business going to make it or not? You know, like startups, they usually take 3-4 years, 5 years before you really know. So everyone's still starting off.
And I can't wait because we got Kevin DeGods coming on.
Oh my God,
this
it's gonna
podcast.
be huge.
And they came over to the mean streets of Ethereum and Polygon, but you know what? They made a really NFT Bark made a really good comment about why they're coming over. And yes, Polygon is paying projects money, and I believe that Frank, and after connecting with Kevin, you know, through our DMs, just getting him prepped and ready to come on, I believe that they're going to put that money to really good use. And again, building in that, he's the trendsetter. Everybody follows his trend in that regard. And so it was a brilliant move, as NFT Bark said, for him to come over means that he's actually wants room to grow. He wants to not be the biggest project. That vanity play wore itself out over time. But I will say, I've got a surprise the day that Kevin comes on. And I think you know what that surprise, it was my critique. So if people go back, they'll listen in and I will drink my words. How about that, my friend?
I mean, I think that your words were actually on point, and I'm curious to see what his reaction to it. Because even Frank actually, when I was hearing him on Twitter Spaces, this is after you said this, and obviously I don't know if he heard what you said, but he was saying how 2023 is going to be the year for him to be a little bit more serious and get deadlines done, and really worry about the business as opposed to just like drinking out of shoes.
And I still go back to say that because he has Kevin, meaning because they have each other, and it's such a cohesive team, those two. And obviously they've got the rest of their team, but they support each other. They have the world of respect and admiration for one another. So, could you imagine like someone going over going, hey, Kev, this is what, like the trying to break strength? You can't. That is also a metric for me, a social metric. When I listen to those gentlemen speak about the other, whether the other was in the space or not, and I think both weren't. Frank was in a space. I think Kevin was supposed to be there, or vice versa. They only spoke great words about each other. So I think they're setting a standard that if there's an argument, like with every couple, with every business, but they're like, no, we are strong. We are rising together. And we're heading over to ERC 720. Is this ERC 720? The ERC 20 token. I don't know, whatever the terminology is.
Once you show me the picture of Kevin, I was like, you know what? I have faith in the gods again, because you do need someone like Frank, who is the influencer. Like we have a whole bunch of people who are on camera. Then we have this guy Nick, who's the one who actually runs everything. He's a COO. Like he's the one that gets the business done. He's never on. He's never on camera because that's not his thing. And he's just like probably Kevin in that sense, except Kevin's way more active in social media than your average, CEO or whatever.
Well, you know what? It's also like when you look at Mark Yusko, he's extremely active. So he's always liking my posts. And thank you, by the way, big shout out to Mark Yusko of Morgan Creek Digital, which was started in 2018, raised over $500 million. That guy is a big man in the space and is an on-chain monkey. iRise to everyone. Guys, I want some bananas. Can I please get the iRise? I need more fungible bananas. And that's another great thing about the on-chain monkey community. But I do want to come back to ENS Maxi. So I would highly recommend, and I pulled up, and Tony, if you can do a quick screen share. It's the Maxi Data Refresh, a fresh approach to airdrops. I highly recommend that you go in and read this article or listen to it, but there's a lot of great information and also how they are respectfully manipulating the metadata. This is the next screen share. Into the unknown, they've created a comic book, and they've identified where you get a spaceship pass. So there's a storyline. So basically, your PFP as it started out didn't have a helmet, but if you got access to the spaceship, I think maybe there's a staking where you put your PFP on the spaceship, and then I believe that PFP comes back with a helmet. So the refreshing, changing the metadata. So a unique rarity and trait when that community launched, they didn't have spaceship helmets. So when you look at OG history, and you look at where we're going to go and being like, that's a classic. This community is one of the trendsetters outside of, CryptoPunks and Bored Ape Yacht. I mean, CryptoPunks, much respect. I actually hopped on quickly last night to their platform just to take a look around. And it's really cool how they don't have to be anything because they were everything. They were first. And I think a lot of other communities have been truly inspired about that. I also just want to, actually, we'll go into screen share in a second. Not yet, Tony. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts around that, my friend?
Well, I like that idea of the, you can kind of evolve your NFT, because I know a lot of these NFT projects, you have Bored Ape Yacht Club, and then, instead of evolving that exact NFT, they got the mutants, and then there's a next collection, the next collection. And like, I feel like a lot of and especially now with Twitter, a lot of people, a lot of influencers are using their NFT as their brand. So now if you, get one of these ENS Maxes, but then they put a new collection, you have to either change your brand or whatever. Maybe with this, you're evolving your brand by almost like Pokemon, like it says in the, in that Twitter, in that post that you posted, it's like almost like evolving your Pokemon, but this time you can kind of like stay with it, and your brand can almost evolve with it, as opposed to having to get a whole new PFP when they drop the next project.
That's serious alpha. So I didn't get on the spaceship, but if you have a spaceship, that's going to be something special. The community does well. Their PFP is going to rise. They're in spaces 24/7. But I do want to go to the next screen share, if I could, Tony. Thank you, my friend. So we had Ralph Quintero, who is the creator of the Daily Ralpha. It is a 5-minute read or less. He came onto the podcast. We talked about all things, and has since formed a wonderful friendship. Truly call him a friend. So yesterday I called him just to say hi. Ralph, what's going on, my friend? That conversation for two people who love this space and love the digital assets, or i.e. token. We're getting away from that word, Tony. And Tony's in our studio. He is the one that makes sure and manages everything. Say what's up, Tony, real quick.
What's up, Tony?
See, that's what I love about this, insights and things in Web3. But the Daily Ralph, I highly recommend that everybody go and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Even go share it on your feed. But he brings a lot of really great information at the bottom. Market project stats, drops to watch, ETH price. He does the yesterday 24-hour running price and then year to date, which I think is phenomenal. Early project finds, NFT tools, NFT news, which has been very valuable. And then if I say I'm no longer a realtor, which by the way I am, helping people to buy and sell real estate in the wonderful state of Connecticut in Lower Fairfield County. I know our market well. I got you need real estate, but if I don't go for the NFT full-time jobs, I'll stay over here. But if I do, I'm going straight into the Daily Ralpha. He always has great information, super consistent. Congratulations. Today is his 406th issue. I'm almost going to say episode, but he brings a lot of great content, and we had our prior podcast, and through there, a great friendship and respect was formed. So I highly recommend people go and check that out. And then I see, Web3 should allow more access to CEO. Can't wait to watch this aspect play out. Matt Swayze, Matty's Metrics, X First, 1/3 X First. I completely agree with you, my friend. People go and follow Matthew Diaz, Matty's Metrics, the good, the bad, and the fudly. Can't wait to watch your next report. And I told, by the way, MetaMatt, I told Matt Swayze to go cross-chain with his good, bad, and FUD. And let me tell you, Matt, there is a lot of FUD these days, so please don't delay that.
Well, really quick, is that always a good thing? Because we see Elon Musk, CEO, he's very, very, very active on social media. Not everyone likes that, thole. It's like, I guess it really depends on the person, right?
You're getting ahead. That's towards the end, because I talked about that. That was your notes to me, and I agree. But one of the things that I just learned about a few weeks ago, and I want people to put their attention, I haven't dived into it yet, so I don't have a tremendous amount of knowledge on it, but we need to know about it because it is a $10 billion question mark. Microsoft in talks to invest $10 billion in Chat GPT owner OpenAI. What the heck is this, MetaMatt? Break it down for me, my friend.
It's like Google on steroids, basically. It's basically if you can talk to Google. You see Iron Man, he's talking to, like, his Jarvis or AI. What? It's the same exact deal, except it's not a little blue figure looking at you and talking to you. But like it knows pretty much anything. I think like post 2001, it won't give you any advice, or it can't tell you what to do because it doesn't have a human brain of its own. But like, instead of going on Google and just searching something, you can literally ask this thing, and it'll spit out information, and then it'll remember the whole conversation. So you can go back on that, and it's great for just everything, content creation. Even I think it's gonna be a huge tool.
I'm excited. So it's Google search on steroids. And is that what you said? Google search?
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how that pans out. We were talking because we're going to be developing our platform, and I'd like it to be a Web3 platform. I've reached out to some pretty cool people in the space. I have some really good brainstorming ideas. That'll be some sizzle for later. No stake for right now, other than great insight and information. But I do want to head to the next thing that I was asked about, and I'm going to come back really quick to Daily Ralph. I think I might have switched them out of order, but one of the things that someone asked me is, hey Craig, are you going to talk about some great tools and some DeFi stuff? And Tony, if you can do that quick screen share. Here's the beautiful thing: when you have a friend named Ralph Quintero from the Daily Ralph, I don't really need to do that. I'm going to start to experiment around with some of this stuff, but these tools. Or this tool offering, some of these tools are free, not all of them, but I would highly recommend that you go into the dailyralpha.com/NFT-tools, all lowercase. Highly recommend that you go in and look at it, take a look and see what is of interest, but you want to learn, grow, implement, and strategize. You got to start studying these platforms on how they're evaluating communities. How important is that for penny boys when you guys are going to evaluate stocks?
The actual community behind it, we don't care about the community. It's bad, especially with a stock. I mean, a stock is a company. We're just buying and selling it. We're not trying to get...
No. What I mean is tracking tools like when you get a notification, Bing, like, hey, Penny Boys just sent you a notification. We're a little concerned. We got this news, or we're watching the chart and we don't like the buy and sell action. What does that look like from a Penny Boys standpoint?
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So we do alerts. So for us, we have like a Discord channel. We do text alerts as well, because we want to be able to, have everyone be able to access it. Some people just don't like Discord. Basically, it spits out, like, when the shot caller, the analyst, gets into a trade, they'll put it into the into their little format, and a bot will spit it out, and they'll just basically say, here's a recommended entry price, this is why we're watching it, here's a chart, here's our outlook on it, here's our recommended stop loss, because losses do happen, and we limit our losses with stop losses. And then we have our our target as well, because we want to pay ourselves. We're not just here to hold it forever, so we have our take profit areas as well. And and then whenever there's an update, it updates as well.
No, I love that. And I like the text alerts, right? Because we're having to communicate with Web2. If it's not on your phone and it's not an app, you just download it and get a notification. You'd be like, why didn't I get that Penny Boy alert? Because you didn't have the text notification on. And if you don't have that Discord ping on and you didn't set it up for that, that could cost you a lot of money. So it's really, and by the way, big shout out to Austin, your partner and the founder of Penny Boys. Big shout out to him. I really liked how he conducted himself in the room. It seems like he's going to want to learn a little bit about Web3, and I'm going to actually selfishly want to learn about stocks and stock chart reading. And we're going to talk about that. But there was a story that I need to break, and it came through Twitter, and we're going to do a screen share in a second, Tony. I'll do this in a second. Just wait a minute. But it was a beautiful story, and it was about Crypto Novo. And Crypto Novo is a true OG in the space. And Crypto Novo, and this talks about security protocol, but Crypto Novo clicked onto a bad link in Discord. And I believe three of his punks, three of his crypto punks,
not a derivative, the real ones.
And each of those, by the way, everybody who's listening in, is close to $100,000 for floor, and then probably well above that, some have sold for millions of dollars. I mean, we're talking something absolutely incredible, a digital asset that if you have that private key, woo. But whoever got it, and so this is the thing, criminals are always going to be around, and frauds and scams are going to run rampant. I just had someone tell me the other day, oh, this is all fool's gold. No, it's a speculative market. And if you're not willing to spend the time to actually learn and grow, because let me tell you, when Web3 catches up to what you're doing, you're going to be like, I'm behind the ball. And here's the thing. It's not about you purchasing a digital asset or crypto. It's about you understanding the concepts around Web3 blockchain-based technology. That at its core is why I do this podcast, amongst anything else. And then we, as digital asset communities, we, as cryptocurrencies, if you've created any and you tend to your community, you are building on the blockchain in real time, and you're going to hopefully, God willing, benefit from that long term. So I do want to do a quick screen share. This is Crypto Novo, and I would love for you guys to go and follow him. But he's communicated heavily with Vayner Sports, or Vayner, I believe, NFT collection. He just got back his PFP. He hasn't put it up yet, which is his CryptoPunk, which you can see on the shoes. I'll just dial in real quick. There you go. So that is his CryptoPunk. And I'm really excited to see what he's doing. But I do want to make mention of three things that are really important. Thank you, Tony. Collective community support for our OG in the space for Crypto Novo brings credibility in a space that right now is highly speculative and doesn't have much credibility. The second is the upside of raising awareness and money to purchase the stolen punk and saying, we protect our own. This is most important. And this speaks to the culture and the Web3 ethos and when people are in Twitter spaces. And we're going to talk about some of those overused terminologies. I knew your head went off on that. The last one, I think, which was most important, right, is everybody is selfish. I get it. I'm selfish too. I have an ego. Got to keep it, got to keep it tamed, or good things don't happen. People want to approach people who are humble, kind, and respectful. That being said, people did get and purchase a PFP, or not a PFP, but just a digital asset, an NFT. And as I work through those words to not call it NFT anymore, it's going to be my problem. But I do want to quickly do a screen share. If you can show this really quick, Tony, I want to give a big shout out to one of the most respected and beloved artists in the space. That would be Dario. You can come off of that screen share. Thank you so much. Dario created that, and they created a really awesome collection. It was about $50 to mint. And then probably a month or 2 months from now, I believe it's April, he's going to be dropping something where you can redeem that token for one of the works of his collection. I love how he tends to his community. He's friends with all of the artists. And I've also got a couple other mentions. We can come off that screen share. Thank you so much, Tony. I just looked up and it was already done for me. I do want to do one more screen share into that. Bear with me for just a second. All right, perfect. So I actually did a tweet last night. Dario and Rotten Radio, which is Ramborno. He's going to be coming on the podcast at the beginning of February, I believe February 1st. They were the catalysts for this movement to help Crypto Novo to 311 to get back his CryptoPunk NFT, which is his PFP. Crypto Nova, the more that I continue to learn about him, the more I understand how important he is to the Web3 culture. And you can come off of that screen share. Thank you so much. So here's my thought. And Meta, it's going to be really interesting to see how not only did Crypto Novo get back his punk, I believe they're waiting to see him post it. And I think he's just waiting to do it at the right time because he's a really good marketer. And his backstory of working with children was phenomenal. I found some YouTube videos last night. Again, I said I came back in and just redid some things. So I'm like, man, I got to bring this story out and really talk about it, how important it is. But I think he's going to be a very powerful ambassador for the brand. That's going to be one. And when I say the brand, I mean Web3 culture, especially Ethereum, right? Because that's where the love has been. But here's the really cool thing. Gary V came into Ramborno's Rotten Radio space. And Rotten Radio and Ramborno and Dario have worked together. And Dario, as an artist, as a content creator as well, super talented, multifaceted individual, he shows up in the spaces all the time. So a big shout out. I think he's going to be an ambassador. And there's my finger. And then the second thing, there we go. There. And the second thing that I think he's going to do, which is going to be extremely important, is he's going to probably have sponsorship with companies that deal around wallet security, talking about hacking matters. I think you're going to wallet hacks, not like hacking, but I think you're going to find that those two things are going to happen. And I think he is not only beloved in the space now, but I think he's going to become more beloved. And I also think he's going to share love with the community. It doesn't mean you're going to get an NFT from him, maybe. But what it does mean is that he's going to come back, and he did DM me. I mean, he's a big person in the space, and he DM. And I asked him in a DM. I said, how are you feeling? What's going on? Is there anything that I can do? What's the message that maybe I can spread? So I came to this, and I was just so inspired because they were running 27-hour spaces. Here comes Gary V, I think in the 26th or 27th hour. I mean, Ramborno was just running a spaces, consecutively. And to be able to do that, and, you can imagine falling asleep as the host, and all you hear from the host is like snore. Matt, what's your thoughts around this story? I think it's beautiful.
I love this, honestly. And I think that is great that not only are, the community coming together, they're getting him his digital asset back, his CryptoPunk back, which is a very expensive digital asset. I think it's great that they're actually doing some good in the future from this and doing those courses or whatever they may be, like maybe a fund or however they would want to do it. But like education, I think is key because, this happened to someone who, like you said, is an OG in the space. This could easily happen to someone who's brand new in the space. So I think that being able to use this story and, all these social media attention to actually help and educate others into how to not let this happen to them. That's the key, because otherwise so many people are going to get into the space, get into a rug pull, get into a scam, leave the space, not come back. We see it all the time in the stock world. That's why we made Penny Boys, is to try to head that off. So
I mean, it's too easy to get discouraged by it. And I do want to keep this moving because we are going to close in an hour, and we're bringing, so this is alpha learning. Let me get to it. When I'm in Twitter Spaces, here are the following things that I do, and then I want to compare your notes, right? I got a notepad and pen. That's just my best way to brainstorm and take notes, and then later I go back and type it. If I'm in the car and I don't have access to that, I pull up an email and I just start taking notes. Pinned tweets in Spaces, I email them to myself. Really important, because those pinned tweets have a lot of really great insight and information. People want to grow their Twitter Spaces. They want the social currency. They want to be the go-to source. I know I do. I know that I want this podcast to. I know I want you to be thought more Web3, and I want people to maybe say, hey, Craig, I know you're friends with Matt and he's your co-host. What's the stock tip? And I'd be like, this is not financial advice. Consulting advisor, but he says, buy this son. I don't know. Number 3. If you request to go on stage, put down your talking points in advance. I hear a lot of people that will go on to Spaces and it's not much to say. Or if you just want to hop on a stage and say, I love you, this is great to be in the Spaces, CraigO, please follow me, I'll follow whoever back. That's fine, whatever. But take down your notes. There are going to be certain topics that are going to resonate. Find yourself more into those spaces. Spaces is a great way to connect with the whole community and gain new people at the same time who want to follow and engage with you. So that's my thought on Twitter Spaces. What are yours, my friend? Any notes for us?
I like what you said here. Honestly, I think that people follow you from your posts and from your videos and stuff. Just people, not you, just people in general. Like they follow through posts and videos, but they get to know you from your lives and from your, from your content like this and from your Twitter Spaces. That's when they really get to know who you are. That's when your followers get to know you. So I think that's really important. And whenever I'm in Twitter Spaces, I also like to take notes of those who are providing value and education. I'll write them down so I can either shout them out or whatever, because they're, like I was saying before, education is key in the space.
I agree with you 100%. So I'm starting to collect more art, and cheap art. When I say art, meaning stuff that's not expensive. The gas fee sometimes is more than it, or the gas fee is the cost and it's a free mint. And what I'm doing is I'll get these notifications and I'll share this platform. Maybe I'll share it at the end of this episode, depending on who's in here. But one of the things that I thought was really important, if you can do, Tony, I just want to do a quick screen share. I want to give a shout out because he's going to be a future guest. Mr. Stephen Miller, he ran a great Spaces last night. My good friend Ralph Quintero was in. He did the Spaces with another gentleman. Mine's name's not coming to mind, but they did a great space last night. Let me see if I can find it. But the conversation really went around degenerative or artwork. The ultimate metadata is no roadmap, no promise of anything. But here's what I think about when I get into an artist. If I see, there's a free mint, first off, I use my minting wallet. If my wallet's going to get drained, it's not going to be my primary wallet. I mostly promise you that, but people have been stupid before, and I understand that. So this is a post recording for just that to myself. Don't be stupid, Craig. But when I think about it, I'm looking for, when I see it's a free mint, I'm looking up that artist. I'm just typing it in Google. What does this come up with? What is the search queue? If you think you're just going to create a digital asset and just put it out there and I'm just going to purchase it, not unless I like the art. There actually was one last night where it was, I'm going to be on Discord Spaces. I might share it later. And the guy was just like, had I think a cigarette or a weed stick in his mouth. Weed stick! Hey, that's 45 for you. And he's just sitting in a chair completely passed out. And I was like, I like this. This speaks to the degen in me. This speaks to exactly kind of that feeling I have right now as you're constantly thinking about content creation. So please, guys, if you're not following Steve Miller, you need to. Ran a phenomenal space. Talked about artwork, but one of the biggest things that makes me bullish, Matt, for artists is that they have, like, when you look at Dario, you go and look at what he's doing, how he's formed himself, how he connects with the community. But when you look at artists that have website or ability to sell real work, tangible work that you can put your hands on, that to me is way more powerful than you just launching a PFP or an NFT collection, digital asset, on OpenSea, and then people go in and do the sucker purchase, unless they just love your art. They got to love you, and they've got to see that you as an artist, emerging artists that have talent, they also share the duality of talent when it comes to their social profile. It's managed very well. It's very airtight. What are your thoughts around that? Because that's at least my alpha insight is look for that artist, look them up online. Don't just go mint something because you have FOMO and you know how to mint something or you know how to purchase secondary sale. Don't do that. Do your due diligence in advance. You have at least 5 minutes and there are definitely important points. What are your thoughts around that, my friend?
No, 100%. Always do your due diligence. Never just emotionally just get into into a trade like that or into a asset in this case. When it comes to one-on-one art, I'm not huge into it personally. I will support the artist if they are out there on social media or doing something good. But like if I see a cool piece of art like on the block, like I don't have a metaverse to put anything into or what I don't care about that kind of stuff personally. So I'm looking for the actual people behind it. So if you are an artist, I'm assuming there's a lot of people like me. I think that what you should do is go on social media, kind of like what everyone in your panel in Connecticut in the that live event that you had. Everyone's saying the same thing basically. Just go on social media, and they're right, and get your name out there. You need to connect to people, especially now, 2023.
It's incredibly important. And so I do want to do a quick screen share. We're going to go through three screen shares, and then you'll be able to drop us off, Tony. Honoring the projects, one of artists that have inspired me throughout the year. Now, what I used to do as a metric is I would come down here. Oh my God, it has 2170 likes, 112 retweets. Wow, 500 almost 500,000. Oh, I got to get in on this. No, you don't. What I look for is who's this individual tagging, but more importantly, I'm looking at how they have everything laid out. So I've gone into his Penguin profile. And by the way, this was a Steve Miller mention in one of the spaces. But I love one-of-one artists. I think the one-of-one artists are a potential lotto ticket. And when I say the lotto ticket, yeah, I mean, you're going to make some money. You can feel a little degen. At least that's my belief, not financial advice. Do consult with your financial advisor. But one of the things that I loved about it is he threw a lot of artists that I've seen, some of the work that I've seen along the way. And I thought, to me, this resonated. And then I started to just dive into their Twitter feed, see what else was going on. And I just liked how they presented the content. And I also look for what does the comments section say, not from the fake fudders, but what are they saying? Another one was Mint Face. I've been going back and forth with this particular individual. And this website speaks to exactly what matters to me. This website is phenomenal. So it's X Life, and X Life is inspired by the other artist, I believe, X Copy. I hope I have that right, and if I don't, he might correct me if he sees this. But he has, like, to use an example, Roads and Rivers. Let's click on this real quick. All right. So when we get into this, let's see if it pulls up. There we go. When we get into this, it brings you right to, I believe, his OpenSea. And then what it'll show you is what items are available for sale, what he has done in transactions. So this is a very small project, but he has other projects that have done incredibly well. But what I wanted to show you is if this artwork speaks to you, and this say is, I don't know, $50. I'm just using an example, right? Because it's half an ETH, half of 1.1 of an ETH. If this makes sense to you, this might be something that resonates. You like, bridges, water streams. So start collecting art because you like it. Don't think it pays off big, but diversify the portfolio as inexpensively as you can. One person has $1,000 is very different to someone that has another person that has $1 million. So stay in our financial lanes. When I don't say yours and personalize it, but I do want to show you a couple more screen shares. Come back real quick, Tony. I apologize. Completely threw you off. Hold on one second. Coming back to that. All right, here's the next screen share. So I just love, and I went through making sure there's no spelling errors. Some of that Web2 applicability is really important. X nouns, book, workshop, videos, the line, join Mint Face. So if you click over here, so it's Mint Face, and I think it was his X Copy project, which is inspired by. To me, I love what people are doing. See, this is how he's monetizing. Artist features, expert creation, first to read. People are designing their business in Web3, even though I believe this is a Web3 platform, if I'm correct. So some people are designing it in Web2 and will transfer over, but to have accessibility to your items is incredibly important. The next thing I want to talk about is another project. And I believe that Steve Miller mentioned this, and we're going to have a call later on today, so I want to know a little bit more about it. But I purchased 2 of these Tickle Beach, and you're like, why? There's a difference between on-chain and off-chain. I did that in another video, but this is the first 3D on-chain collection on the Ethereum blockchain. I hope I have that right, or one of the first. whether it's first or one of the first it's very powerful. Yes, the first to market is always the winner if they continue to do it right, and they really have to mess up big. I mean, look at all the things that OpenSea went through last year, cutting, I believe, slashing almost half their workforce. I did that in another episode as well. And by the way, Coinbase is slashing their workforce by 20% from a headline I saw. I didn't dive into it, but people are needing to make sure and be prepared that they have the most important people that add the biggest amount of benefit to continue to stay profitable. And I guarantee you, Coinbase has been very safe. I feel very good about my money on there, but I do like to put it in DeFi because someone else said this in a space the other day. It's not necessary to have it on a centralized platform. Sorry, but they are the on-ramp to DeFi. You need to purchase in order to get onto that to on-ramp. But some wallets, I believe Meyer Wallet, I've actually purchased through MoonPay. You do your credit card, but you do pay an extra $25 fee. So the most effective, fast, and efficient way is Coinbase. And we will, by the way, MetaMatt, we will be talking about all the troubles in future weeks for potentially Binance. I think it's okay. I don't want to panic anybody. Again, not the huge audience to scare people, but I'm very curious to understand how they're dealing with the reputation standpoint of what happened with FTX. And the fact, let's be clear, the gentleman, the CEO of Binance, or the owner of Binance, I'm sure a lot of institutional investors and a lot of money donated to political causes, but he and Sam Bankman-Fried, they're friends. They were until they weren't. Until Binance dropped that hammer. So I do want to talk about Twitter Spaces with you and some of my favorite spaces to be in. And I'm going to let you lead that one. You have the show notes on that. So MetaMatt, take it away on this one.
Well, I mean, I think that my favorite, and I know it's one that you also are a huge fan of, it's the LF Growth space with NFT God. But I did also see an Instagram post on one of the big NFT Instagram, I think like news areas or whatever it may be, and they were talking about Web3 Exposed, Shillin' Villain, and Bark Space, and then it was the third one was, I believe it. I just lost it here. Let me double check. I think it was one of the other ones, one of those big ones where it was all those types of influencers who were talking about branding and just they're kind of doing like a show almost. And I think it's interesting, like all the different concepts in these Twitter spaces. You have Elgro talking about content creation, you have Shillin' Villain and Bark doing their thing. Right. Have you tuned into any of their spaces?
Shillin' Villain, I haven't. He actually liked a post that you put out last night for what we're doing. So big shout out to Shillin' Villain. I've looked through some of his stuff. I mean, he's traveling the world, living his best life. And I look forward to learning more about him because I keep hearing about him, especially from you.
He knows how to build an audience.
Number two, not that it's like first, second, or third, but number two that I want to talk about is Captain and NFT Bark. Coffee with Captain is phenomenal. They do a great job. I feel like that particular show, along with Pio, Nick, and Easy, and I believe they also have one other partner as well in the Nifty portal, but they do their spaces in the morning. And also Easy Eats, who's going to be coming on in about an hour, my friend. Yeah, about a little less than an hour. He has two GM Mornings, which is at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, and then his show at 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So really excited about that. And then big shout out to Grateful Ape and Beast. I actually DM'd Grateful Ape and said, hey, I'm going to be talking about you today. You're one of my favorite spaces. I want to mention you. He's like, hey, man, I'm sorry, I can't show up. I was like, yeah, I'm still going to mention you. I just love your show. I love what you're doing. And then, by the way, I think that's a really interesting point to bring up. You listen in on these, and we're very fortunate right now that we're getting some really great people from these spaces who I admire, who I learn from every single day. It's okay if you don't show up. It's okay if I don't have a bunch of people for a particular day. It's great when I do, and it's great when there's an audience there and they like what our content is, but it's okay when it doesn't happen sometimes. So a big shout out to Grateful Ape and Beast. I love what you're doing. And I also want to mention, this guy has become a good friend of mine personally, is Ramborno from Rotten Radio with Ramborno. He was the one that really dived headfirst alongside of Dario. Dario lit the match, and then Ramborno with Rotten Radio just ran that spaces. Maybe it was 30 hours straight. I mean, there's like a marathon. I don't know, lots of coffee, whatever else, to stay awake. But he really has a lot of really great conversations, and he really invites people up to connect and share their thoughts and ideas. And I would say, whether it's Captain, whether it's NFT God and Champ, Pio, Nick, and Easy, when you're going to go into their spaces, because those spaces get a lot of viewership, have your notes in advance of what you want to talk about. Because if you go up on their spaces and just say, hey, it's CraigO, just wanted to say hello, they're gonna be like, what? Add value, add value. Kevin DeGod said it perfectly. And that one of the reasons that we were able to get him on is he was in a spaces. It was with actually NFT Bark and Captain. And he said, don't DM me to just say, hi, what do you want? If you tell me what you want and you clearly articulate it, and I'm articulating it in my manner, then I will get back to you. But don't just come in with, there's a free contest or a giveaway or da-da-da, hey, have you heard of my project? No, I'm not responding to that. I'm going to respond to people who are engaged with what it is that I'm doing. You're DMing me. I'm not DMing you. Thoughts on that as far as protocol? And there is one last spaces that I do want to mention.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of cold DMs. I got a lot of different guests on, especially when I was first starting off in the Web3 space a year or so ago.
Yep.
I was just cold DMing random people who I didn't think were going to respond back, honestly. And then I got them on my podcast way back when, and it was awesome. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of cold DMing, but like you said, there's a way to do it. One post, very to the point. They're busy. These are people who have other things going on, so you need to stand out to them when it comes to those DMs.
Absolutely. ENS, Wake and Bake. I love those guys. I came into their spaces about a month ago, and their spaces every day, there's new people in there. But they also know how to control and manage the spaces. They talk a lot about real world conversations, things. We talk about policies. There's so much learning to be done in Web3. And then you have the add-on of schooling in Web2 and what that might look like. And they've got good vision. And they have a good vision for the future. They have good vision. They can see, Craig. But they also created a digital asset for their spaces, which I thought was freaking brilliant. So big shout out to NFT God and Champ Space. We talked about you multiple times on this podcast today. Captain and NFT Bark, Coffee with Captain, Grateful Ape and Beast. I love your spaces. Rotten Radio, my good friend Ramborno, who will be coming on the podcast. Pio, Nick, and Easy from Nifty Porthole. Love what you guys are doing. And Easy is coming on the podcast today. Easy has two of his own spaces, one at 8 o'clock in the morning and one at 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. And then the other one is Monday through Thursday. And a big shout out to ENS, Wake and Bake. Love you guys. And also all the ENS spaces, the green space, the red space. They just crush it. Matt, I just want to finish this off in the next 5 minutes with you. So we're staying on the hour, right? We maybe got just two more things to talk about. So first is, I'd like you to do a chart read with us in real time. And since I'm by my computer, give me one quick chart you want me to pull up, my friend.
All right. Let me double check. I wanted to go over I'm just going to go right into the PB Discord and see, because here's the deal. I'm not an analyst. I do the education. I'm not reading the charts every day. I'm out here on social media. Yep. So what I do when I actually want to look at a chart or look at an alert or whatever it may be, I'm going to go on to Penny Boy's Discord, because the big thing is humility and knowing, there are people out there who are better than you, and it's probably a good thing to listen to them.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a notice, just putting everything on notice. My co-host is extremely, way too, very nice, humble. How you like that? I actually took it from a book cover of my son's. Very nice, not the very good, no bad guy or something like that. It was a very funny play on words, but you're too humble. I'm not going to let you be that humble. Yes. Are you the best chart reader in the world? No. But when you're in enough of those conversations, you're creating the content for Penny Boys. I have an expectation that you're fairly decent, but more importantly, you got the alpha insight. And so I want to know
what it is.
A chart read, you're more important than anybody else.
We have one of our analysts here is looking at BOIL, Boyle.
Boyle, okay, BOIL. Yep, and I'm going to do a quick screen share on that.
Perfect. I'm going to actually also pull it up on my
what chart should I go to, by the way?
Let's just go on the day. Let's go on the 1 minute. Actually, this is a swing trade. We'll go on the daily.
Okay, can you go into the screen share?
Yeah, let me.
Perfect. Let's see if you can screen share. Yeah, we got 3 minutes left, so we're gonna make this powerful, my friend.
All right, there we go.
You got it.
All right, so I have it. I'm just waiting for someone to throw it up on the screen.
We covered some really good content today.
Yeah. So
and go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Right now it looks like it is trading at 1092. It looks like, and What we're doing is, I believe this one is actually by, yes, this is by Mr. Stocklog Profits. He's known for, he likes to get into those plays a little bit early before they have their pop. This means that they might, be beaten down a little bit. If you look in the daily chart right here, yep, you can see it. You can see how it has gone down a lot on the daily. I'm not going to pull the indicators and doing any of that right
No, I
now.
love
But
this. This is perfect. But I want people to this exposure right here, this screenshot that they have in their mind. Anybody who's tuning in, Matt knows his shit. Matt knows his shit when it comes to stocks and how to track. But he's, again, don't need a professional chart reader, but people will get the alpha insight when they tune into this show. And maybe it's once an episode where we just pull up something just to talk about in relation, because we want people to go in and subscribe and learn more about Penny Boys. So I highly recommend that. And we do have a code which we could share. Maybe we'll just share that in the notes when the episode goes on and says, hey, you want to learn more about Penny Boys? So maybe we'll do that. GM, good or bad for Web3 Twitter? And obviously we'll just talk about the reply guy type of tweets. What are your thoughts around that? Because that's going to close out our show for this one.
Yeah, the good mornings. I have mixed feelings. If that's all you're doing, I don't think it's a great thing to do.
Yep.
But it's not going to hurt as long as you are also providing value. I believe. I know for you, with Twitter, you're doing all different social media platforms as well. What do you think about the whole GMs? Is it worth the time invest?
I mean, what are you doing it for? Is it to get a like? Is it to get impressions? I don't care about that. I think what I care about is that to my audience, the respect is that if someone's tuning in, by the way, and I just want to say to Crypto, what is it? Crypto UPOD. I really appreciate you. I mean, he's been consistently in listening, right? So my responsibility is to him and others who will tune in, and they know that I've done the reading. I've spoken to the people. I've networked to make sure I'm bringing about great content. I don't really care about the GMs or or I'm going to go sweep a floor. What should I get? And then you get all these replies. I think the closest thing I do to that is when I post like my ENS Maxis collection and just say I love this collection and here's the following reasons. Right. Give people value. Don't give them garbage. When you give people garbage, you'll get lost. And if you're looking for the oxytocin pump that puts no money into your pocket, I'm not interested.
The one thing I will do with the good morning, so I will post. I do realize people are doing it, so you want to at least be noticed. So I do put the good morning, and then I add value afterwards. That way, all those good morning people, they see it, but then it's like, oh wait, you could actually add more than just a good morning. And I'll respond to people as well, just because it's like passing someone in the street, I guess. But I'm not going to be the one going out there and just good morning, on my Twitter feed all the time.
It is, and I, by the way, Meta, we are done. We have done an hour. This has been a freaking amazing. We're ready for our next episode, which is going to be at 12:30. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode, Insights, Ideas, and Concepts in Web3 with me, your host, CraigO, and my co-host, Mr. Meta Matt, signing off. Thank you so much for watching CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. CraigO signing off.